That's where things get a little crazy.
Okay.
This is part that I haven't told the doctors. Because it seems so stupid now. When my ex and I broke up in 2007, I was already taking the medication for my borderline personality disorder. And I was so angry. And it was like a voice said inside me, I'll use you, don't worry about it. And the different times that I have caused people's deaths or caused them discomfort through the insulin, I believe it was the influence of that voice or whatever it was. It wasn't a voice in my head, it was a voice in here. And when I would do it afterwards, I would hear like a laughter in my tail.
This is Elizabeth Wettlaufer, registered nurse, 52 years old, born and raised in Woodstock, Ontario, Fev. She is sitting inside the Woodstock Police Service interview room on the evening of October 5, 2016. She is not under arrest. The door is unlocked. She drove here willingly for in. What you just heard her describe, a voice, a laughter in her chest, helping people die through insulin, is not the confession beginning. It is already the middle of it. 3 weeks before this interview, Elizabeth walked into a Toronto psychiatric emergency room and told staff she had been killing patients. Then she put those names on 4 handwritten pages and handed them to Toronto police. Then she agreed to be driven 4 hours west to Woodstock to sit across from Detective Nathan Hergott and go through every name. 8 patients, 6 others who survived, a span of 10 years. All of them killed, or almost killed, with insulin that didn't belong to them. But here is the thing about Elizabeth Wettlaufer that no detective in this niche is prepared for. The moment you have been waiting for, the evidence reveal, the confrontation, the moment she realizes detectives know what she did, already happened. 3 weeks ago, in a different city, in a psychiatric hospital waiting room. What Detective Hergott has in front of him is not a suspect who doesn't know the game is over. He has a woman who ended the game herself, and then waited.
Well, what I'm about to say, I'm giving of my own free will.
Okay. All right. And I appreciate that.
No, I want to get through this and find out what happened to my mom and dad, because I know they're upset because someone went to visit them today.
Okay.
I visited them today, and they said, you know, they're here, we're concerned, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I honestly don't have those answers for you,
okay,
but I can get them for you. For that.
And it's, you know, it's been a while because I've been stewing about, like, do I give the names of the people that I killed?
Right.
Because then here's 8 families that thought that their family member died peacefully and normally, and they didn't. And what's that going to do to those families?
Right.
On October 5th, Detective Nathan Hergott of the Woodstock Police Service drove to Toronto, met Elizabeth at Cam, and offered her a ride home. She accepted. They drove 4 hours back to Woodstock together. Now she is sitting in this room, and she has already told him she is going to tell him everything. There is a structural problem at the center of this interview that no other case in this niche presents. Detective Hergott does not have contradicting evidence that Elizabeth doesn't know about. He has no forensic report, no toxicology result, no surveillance camera, no phone record that places her somewhere she denied being. What he has is the 4-page handwritten document she wrote herself, and a statement she gave voluntarily to Toronto police, and a suspect who drove here in the same car as him and told him she intends to walk him through every name. The information asymmetry that drives every other interrogation in this niche has been eliminated by the suspect. Elizabeth knows what evidence exists. She created it. The detective's job tonight is not to catch her in a lie. It is to build a record detailed enough that no one can ever challenge whether this confession was real. Before they can go anywhere near a victim's name, the detective has to make sure this interview will hold up in court. Elizabeth has already waived her rights twice. She will do it a third time, in this room, on camera.
So yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna go through for, everything in this room is audio and video recorded first off. You okay with that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I just want to go through, like I said, a couple formalities, cover a few little things off, things that I have to do on my end that I need to do, and things that I just want to tell you and make sure that we're all on the same page before we get going. Here we are, right? So just to make it clear for whoever might watch this in the future, we didn't force you to come with us. We didn't, shove you in the car and off we went kind of thing. You did it on your own free will, and you accepted it on your own decision making. Is that correct?
No, what I'm about to say is I'm giving up my own free will.
Okay. All right. And I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, you're not under arrest. The door is unlocked. Okay, I'm not impeding your way to the door. If you want to leave at any time, if you want to stop talking to me at any time, you just let me know, and we'll just carry on from there.
Oh, no, I want to get through this and find out what happened to my mom and dad, because I know they're upset because someone went to visit them today.
Okay.
They
And
visited them today, and they said, they're here, we're concerned, what's going on?
yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I honestly don't have those answers for you,
Okay.
but I can get them for you.
And you should have bought blue chip tickets while you were there.
You know what? If I could afford them for the playoffs, I probably would have. Okay, and we've been provided this document here. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
All right, and from what I can see here, there's 4 pages of a handwritten document. Is that your handwriting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and it just kind of goes through some people that you've encountered in your career from 2007 through to...
While it's understandable that Detective Hergott has to make absolutely sure that there is no question that this is being a forced confession, it is frustrating how long the process takes, even when she has stated that she is there on her own free will to make her statement.
2016 of August.
Yeah.
August of 2016. Okay. So that's kind of the focus of our investigation right now is the information that you put on these 4 pieces of paper.
That's where things get a little crazy.
Okay.
This is part that I haven't told the doctors. Because it seems so stupid now. When my ex and I broke up in 2007, I was already taking the medication for my borderline personality disorder. And I was so angry. And it was like a voice said inside me, I'll use you, don't worry about it. And the different times that I have caused people's deaths or caused them discomfort through the insulin, I believe it was the influence of that voice or whatever it was. It wasn't a voice in my head, it was a voice in here. And when I would do it afterwards, I would hear like a laughter in my chest. So, started working for St. Elizabeth, and I was doing well, but it was a lot of pressure. And the way that, that I've helped people to die has been through insulin. My supervisor came to me and said, I'm really sorry. We wanted you for Woodstock, but we have so many kids in schools in Ingersoll that need help with their insulin pumps that you're going to start working in Ingersoll.
Okay.
And I panicked. I didn't want to do that. Because I thought, what if? Those are kids. So it was about a week after that I quit. Yeah. And then I packed my stuff in the car, and I drove 2 days into Quebec, thinking like I would just sort of run away sort of thing. And then I thought, no, that's just stupid. So I came back, and I was going to tell my parents what was going on, but they had visitors from Scotland. So I didn't tell them, I just spent 2 weeks pretending to go to work.
Okay.
While the visitors from Scotland were here.
Right.
It's funny, but it's not funny. And then, once they left, I decided I didn't want to nurse anymore. I didn't want to hurt anybody anymore. So I also quit my other job. But I just, I didn't want this to keep going on, so I quit both jobs. Looked into where I could get help. Dr. Fernando is my psychiatrist, and he's not a very nice man. So I went on an online support group and was talking to people on there, and they were saying, get some help. So then I started researching some psych boards and stuff, and I saw CAMH, and they are the only mental health facility in Ontario that has an emergency department.
Okay.
So I made a decision, and I went there one Friday morning. I took the train, and off I went. My friend from AA, and my friend. I told them what was going on, they said, yes, go and get help. And my friend drove me to the train station.
And when you say you told them what was going on, did you get into details of why you were going to seek help, or?
I told them that I had been killing people using an insulin overdose. And they all said, yes, you better go get help. So off I went.
Okay.
3 people knew. Before she ever reached the hospital, a former work friend, her cousin in D.C., a friend from AA. All 3 told her to go. One said, if you don't get help, we'll call the police ourselves.
For that.
And it's, it's been a while because I've been stewing about, do I give the names of the people that I killed?
Right.
Because then here's 8 families that thought that their family member died peacefully and normally, and they didn't. And what's that going to do to those families?
Right.
And even up to going to the hospital, I decided I was just going to give the first names. And my cousin said, listen, they know what years you worked there. If you don't tell them the exact names, they're going to go in there and go over every single file. And that's going to be even worse for the families there.
Right.
She almost withheld the last names. Her cousin talked her out of it. Her cousin, sitting in Washington, D.C., told her, "Giving half a confession is worse than no confession." That is the decision that is sitting here with them in this room. The detective works through Elizabeth's career background until 38 minutes in. Then they sit down with the document between them and go through it name by name. James Silcox is first to Gelv.
Yes.
Okay, September of 2007.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
the first one that died as a result of what I did. I didn't see him every time. He wasn't always my patient. I just knew from what people had said that he would grab the nurse's breasts and buttocks, and he would say horribly inappropriate things about his wife, that now he was there, he was going to fuck all of she was going to fuck all of Woodstock, and just would say inappropriate things. And he did touch me inappropriately once.
James Silcox had dementia. He had recently had hip surgery. He was not a diabetic. Notice that she describes his behavior first. The grabbing, the things he said. The detective will return to this pattern. As each name comes up, she finds something that made them difficult. Something that made them, in her framing, eligible.
30?
Yeah.
Run me through.
About
portion of
9:30, I gave him a dose of 50 milligrams of insulin. He's not diabetic. So I used a borrowed insulin pen, borrowed insulin, and gave him an insulin shot. And at 3:30, the PSW, throughout the night he was yelling out, "I love you," and "I'm sorry." And not to me, but just you could hear him calling out in his room, and that's what he was calling out. And then at 3:30, the PSWs came to me and said that he was gone. Called the doctor, called the family because that's what they wanted. Family came in and sit with him for a while. Doctor came in and said that his cause of death was from an embolism due to his post-hip. He'd had hip surgery. Doctor ruled it embolism due to post-hip surgery.
Who do you think he was talking to when he was yelling out, "I love you"?
I thought it might be his family.
The doctor attributed the death to a pulmonary embolism, a complication of hip surgery, a plausible natural cause. No toxicology, no investigation, no reason to question the nurse who called the family in.
I really did. When they came in and talked to me, they wanted to know if he'd said anything.
Right.
So I told them that I was so ashamed.
Yeah.
So ashamed. Yeah.
When you were speaking with the family.
Yeah.
And is that the family that kind of commended you for the work that you had done? And
Yes, and that I've been there for him, and yes.
How did that make you feel?
Awful. Absolutely awful.
How did you deal with it?
I just went home, went to bed. You know, I felt awful. Maybe I fought with my girlfriend. Did some exercising, you know.
She says it twice. Awful. Absolutely awful. And then she describes going home, fighting with her girlfriend, exercising, playing computer games, trying to forget about it. She tossed and turned. She felt bad. She tried to make sure she wasn't working when the family came to collect his things.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your interactions with Maurice.
He was another one who liked to grab breasts and asses.
Okay.
He was sometimes a patient of mine. See, at that time, I didn't have a set floor that I worked on. I worked on all the different floors as a nurse, kind of filling in.
Okay.
So, one afternoon I was working with him and he did grab me. And again, I got that feeling inside that this is his time to go.
The feeling. The surge. She calls it different things across the interview. The feeling inside. The red surging. The laughter in her chest. But the mechanism is always the same. A patient provokes her, or simply exists in a way that registers as eligible, and the feeling arrives, and she acts. Maurice Grenin was dying of prostate cancer. He was approximately 75 or 76 years old. He had friends who came to visit him, a man and a woman. Elizabeth remembers them.
Again, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. I just said, the doctor wants you to have a vitamin shot. That's what I usually say.
And was he able to communicate? Was he verbal?
He was verbal.
Could converse?
Not totally, but he could say something. He had friends that would come and visit him that were like family to him. a man and a woman, that's all I remember.
And how did it make you feel when Maurice passed away?
Not good.
Between Maurice Grenon in late 2007 and Helen Matheson in 2011, there are attempts, overdoses that didn't kill. The detective will return to those. For now, they move forward in the document's order.
She was very quiet, very determined, just seemed to be waiting to die.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I had that feeling that, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a bit of a fuss about her that night because she was very lucid.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how much she liked blueberry pie and ice cream.
Okay.
So on my break, I went to Walmart. I got a small blueberry pie and some ice cream and brought it to her, and she ate 3 or 4 bites.
Nice.
And then that night I overdosed her. Because, like I said, I had that feeling that it was her time to go, and
What do you mean by that? Do you think she was towards the end of her life at that point?
know that she was the person to go next.
Okay. And that was in your mind, in your stomach?
Yeah.
Where was that feeling?
She bought her a blueberry pie. Let that sit for a moment. Helen Matheson was approximately 85 or 86 years old. She was not a diabetic. She was quiet. She had done nothing to Elizabeth. Elizabeth went out during her break, bought her a dessert she said she liked, watched her eat 3 or 4 bites, and then that same night, gave her a lethal dose of insulin.
In my chest area, and after I did it, I got that laughter.
When would you feel that laughter? Would you feel it right after you injected it, or once the person passed away?
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
But she could talk and communicate a lot.
Mary could.
Yeah, she was feisty.
Was she?
Yeah. She didn't hurt the nurses or anything. She was just very outspoken and feisty, and one night she said, I'm going to die tonight.
Mary said that?
Yeah. And I said, oh. And she said, yeah, why don't you get me into the deathbed so I can die? And I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah, put me to bed, I'm going to die. So I said, okay, and I went to the other nurse that was working with me, and she said, oh, okay, well, let's put her in the side of the care room if that's what you want. So we did, and then I thought, well, she must be the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling inside of me she must be the next one. Because she was saying she was going to die, but there was no signs she was going to die. So I gave her an overdose of insulin. She became palliative and she died. I think it's been a couple of days.
Mary Zurowinski had dementia. She was placed in a palliative care bed that night at her own request. And Elizabeth took that request, not as a cry for comfort, not as the confused statement of someone with cognitive impairment, but as confirmation. She was the next one, Sulin.
Do you remember where you injected Mary?
Probably her arm.
In her arm.
And I told her it was for her pain.
And she was in a single room, double room?
Well, we had moved her from the double room to the palliative care room, right kitty corner from the nurse's office.
So where did you inject her? In the palliative bed or
in
her?
the palliative bed.
Okay. And she had vocalized to you that she thought that she was going to die that night?
Yeah. So I said, okay, she must be the one. When I gave the insulin, I got that feeling inside and the laughter.
Now, the fourth person that you were successful in these insulin injections, how did your emotions start to feel as it kept continuing?
I kept having a lot of guilt. A lot of guilt.
Between Gladys Millard and the previous 3 deaths, Elizabeth spent 3 years not killing anyone. She was reading her Bible, going to church, praying. She describes it as fighting the feeling, successfully, for a time.
So Gladys, this takes us to November of 2011 at Crescent Care. It says here Gladys was a type 2 diabetic and had dementia.
Severe dementia.
Did she? Yeah. How old do you think Gladys was?
92.
92. Okay. And where was Gladys within Crescent Care?
East wing, 3 doors down from the main desk, in a double room.
Okay. Do you remember her roommates at all?
No.
No. Okay. And obviously these are repetitive questions, and you might remember some of the roommates throughout as we go along here, so that's why I just keep asking the same questions.
Hergott's questions also serve another purpose. If her details can be corroborated, it makes it less likely that she is giving a false confession. This is especially necessary in a case where so many families need to be notified to avoid undue emotional stress or lawsuits.
Tell me a little bit about Gladys. What was she like when you cared for her?
Well, when I first started caring for her, she was walking and talking, and she had quite the spirit. She once, she once punched a man.
Oh.
Because she overheard the nurses telling one of the gentlemen, no, you can't push your wife around, you have to come with us. And she turned around and she said, you can't treat a woman like that. Boom!
And hit the man.
And hit the man. So then we're all in a state of trying to keep them from fighting with each other and trying to keep them from hurting us.
Right.
Yeah, she was very spunky. But she went downhill fast.
Did she?
Eventually, she had dementia, didn't take her pills well, didn't eat well, very stubborn woman. And as always, one evening I just got that red surging feeling. And as always, one evening I just got that red surging feeling that she was going to be the one. And gave her insulin overdose.
Did you ever get that feeling outside of work?
No, never.
No. Did you ever get that feeling going to work, knowing that something was going to happen that shift?
No, it always happened at work.
So, if I were to use the phrase spur of the moment, would it be something that you would just have that feeling come on, or?
Yeah, I guess you could say it was spur of the moment, but it usually start happening, focused on one patient, and then I would feel that red surging, which is what made me think it was God. Which I'm so embarrassed.
And Gladys, do you think, did she have a reaction when you injected her?
She fought a little bit.
Did she?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like she struggled around, so I kind of fought on her leg that I could do where she couldn't reach me and pinch me.
Okay. Would that be something typical if you were giving her medication she'd like you to pinch?
Pinch, scratch, feel up her mouth.
Is that common in patients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, even the PSWs who had to change her product, sometimes she'd fight them and scratch them and pinch them and twist their hair and, yeah. She relaxed, and then, by the time the next nurse came on, she was red, she was sweating, she was incoherent. Her vital signs were all down.
And how do you know that?
Because I was just leaving when the next nurse came on, and PSWs came to her and said something's going on with Gladys, and she said, come with me, we have to go check on Gladys.
And
so I actually helped her move Gladys to the palliative care room.
Okay.
She helped move the woman she had just poisoned to the palliative care room. She stood there while the next nurse checked the signs. She said nothing. After Gladys Millard, there is another gap. 2011 to 2013. No deaths. Elizabeth was trying harder this time. Church, Bible, prayer, what she describes as actively fighting the feeling. Then in 2013, Helen Young.
Tell me a little bit more about Helen.
Helen was miserable. She frequently yelled out, help me nurse. She frequently yelled out she wanted to die. She just was not happy with her life. She would wheel around in her wheelchair saying, help me nurse, help me nurse, help me nurse, help me nurse. And when you went to help her, what do you want help with? Nothing. Get away with me. Go away. Help me nurse, help me nurse. Didn't want to eat, didn't want to drink. Very difficult to deal with. Constantly would yell out, or we'd say, what do you want help with? I want to die. Why can't you help me die? I want to die. And one night, it was like something snapped inside.
It is hard to tell which was the trigger. It could have been the stress of dealing with a difficult patient, or the fact that the patient claimed to want to die may have been too tempting for Wettlaufer to resist.
And that red surge came back, and I thought, okay, you will die. So, I gave her a shot. I came up to her and said, this is for your pain, and I gave her a shot of long-acting or short-acting, and she started to settle down. And then later on, we put her into bed, and I gave her more of the insulin. I think it was long-acting. She had a seizure. She turned red. She was diaphoretic. The PSWs called me to the bedside. I took all of her vital signs and I pretended to take her blood sugar. Because I said, oh, it's normal, don't worry about it.
She pretended to take the blood sugar reading. She told the PSWs it was 5.6, a number she knew was normal, and they had no reason to question her. She was the nurse.
How did it make you feel after those few years that these urges and these feelings had come back?
I felt horrible. I felt angry at myself. I felt like I had failed myself. I felt like God had failed me. He prayed over me, and because he said that was the last thing he would have thought of me, and his wife was there too, and they prayed over me, and they said to me, now this is God's grace, but if you ever do this again, we will have to turn you into the police.
A pastor, a lawyer, a girlfriend, 3 friends, a cousin. At some point between 2007 and 2016, at least 6 other people knew Elizabeth Wettlaufer had been killing her patients. Not one of them went to police. The pastor prayed over her and told her it was God's grace. The lawyer told her to take it to her grave.
That's what I was told to do by a lawyer.
What's that?
Take it to my grave and not tell anybody.
So you've confided in a lawyer as well about this?
A long time ago, yeah.
So, Arpad, or Art Horvath,
Yes.
tell me a little bit about her.
He was mean. He would grab the nurses and PSWs, whenever they were trying to do things for him, he would grab them, he would twist their arms, he would punch them. Very difficult to do care for. And one night I just got that surgery, and I got that you need to go.
Had he done something that night?
No. I had given her sedative just before I ever gave her the insulin.
Oh, you said you gave her Haldol.
Yeah.
You recall doing that?
Yes, I did.
And then the 2 insulin injections.
Yeah.
Did the Haldol calm her? Do you remember?
No, it didn't. So Art, I gave a large amount of short-acting, a large amount of long-acting in between each other. And then when I left for the night, he was still okay. When I came back the next day and worked, they said that he had had a stroke, severe stroke, and gone to the hospital. And the nurse that I talked to who'd been on the night before, she said, do you know how low his blood sugar was? And I said, how low in the hospital? And the nurse that I talked to who'd been on the night before, she said, do you know how low his blood sugar was? And I said, how low? And she said, oh, like 1 point something. And then she said, but you know what? I went home and I did some research, and sometimes having a bad stroke can make your blood sugar go low.
Really?
Yeah, that's what she said to me.
That was odd, too.
Yeah, that was odd.
His blood sugar had dropped to 1.0, a level that indicates severe hypoglycemia. The nurse on the next shift noticed it, went home, researched it, and concluded the stroke had caused the low blood sugar, not the other way around. Arpad Horvath died in hospital a few days later. His son came in to pick up his belongings.
They came in to take some stuff, and then when he was gone, they came in to take the rest.
How did you feel having a conversation with him?
Awful.
There is a 4th page to Elizabeth's document. It's titled, People Who Didn't Die.
What can you tell me about?
Okay, Clotilde Adriano. She was the first person I ever gave extra insulin to.
Okay.
I think I gave her 40, and again, there was that surging, but it wasn't so much that I wanted her to die, it was more let's see what happens. And I did that to her on more than one occasion.
Okay.
Albino was...
Sorry, she was prior to Mr. Silcox, right?
Yes.
So this was the very first person that you injected with insulin?
Yes.
Okay. And we're at Crescent Care?
At Crescent Care.
And her room was where?
Her room was in the east wing, second door on the left. And then east wing, first door on the left was her sister Albina. She was diabetic.
Okay.
She was October 2007.
Sorry, that was her sister?
Matilda and Aldina were sisters, yes.
Oh, okay.
Then there was Wayne. He was on the nurse wing. He had dementia. He was diabetic. He could be uncooperative. And I gave him a large overdose because I thought it was his turn to go.
That was Wayne.
Catilda Silcox was not related to James Silcox. She was a resident at Crescent Care, 90 years old, in the East Wing, second door on the left. Her sister Albina was one door over. Both were diabetic. Elizabeth used the dose from their regular insulin prescription, an extra dose from their own supply. In the beginning, she says, she wasn't sure she wanted anyone to die. She wanted to see what happened.
It robs you of your body and you still have your mind. You get progressively more agitated, you get progressively more psychotic, and you're in a wheelchair and you've got all these movements that you can't control. It's a horrible disease.
And how old was Mike?
He was 54. And again, one night I just felt that surging and I thought, now this must be God because this man is not enjoying his life at all. So I gave him a large amount of insulin. I think I gave him 90 total. And again, one night I just felt that surging and I thought, now this must be God because this man is not enjoying his life at all. So I gave him a large amount of insulin. I think I gave him 90 total.
Mike was 54 years old. He had Huntington's disease, a genetic condition that destroys the nervous system over decades. He had never touched Elizabeth, never said anything inappropriate. She gave him 90 units of insulin because she decided his life was no longer worth living.
This takes us to a different location, Wettlaufer Place in Paris. That's obviously Paris, Ontario, correct?
Yeah.
Outside of kind of Brantford, Woodstock area.
2016 winter.
Okay, and that was Sandra?
Yeah, and
How old was Sandra?
Sandra, I think she was in her 70s.
Okay. And Wettlaufer Place, what was the breakup of the rooms there? Where was she located?
She was down the wing, straight down from the nurse's desk, about 2 doors on the left.
Okay.
And she had 3 roommates.
Okay. And she described her a little bit of her personality and her...
Tall, not very well. She didn't walk anymore. She had a good sense of humor. She often said she didn't want to be there. And so one night I gave her an insulin overdose. But she survived because the nurse that came on next went to check on her to do something else and noticed that she was sweaty and took her blood sugar and saved her life. It's really the only one that was pre-planned because on Saturday when I was doing care on Beverly, I noticed that she had a PICC line, which is a line that takes medication straight to your heart. And that she was diabetic. And so the next day when I went in, I was really frustrated and I could just really feel the surging and the laughing, and I gave her a huge amount. I gave her, I think it was 180, three doses of 60 through the PICC line.
Did she question that at all?
Beverly was 63 or 64 years old. She was diabetic. She had severe leg ulcers and a significant infection. That's why she had the PICC line. Elizabeth noticed the PICC line on Saturday, went home, came back Sunday, and administered 180 units of insulin directly to her heart. Beverly survived. When Elizabeth checked the computer records the next day, Beverly's status was unchanged. There is no evidence staging in the traditional sense. Elizabeth staged nothing. She brought the document. She is the document. What the detective does at this stage is confirm the written record against what she has just told him, victim by victim, building a corroborated account that matches the handwriting and the details she can verify from memory. He also asks her about what might be found in her home.
And everything that you're telling us is the truth?
Yes, it is.
There's
Yes, sir.
nothing that's been fabricated?
No, sir. No.
And you're sure about that?
I know so.
What would we find in your home? Did you ever document any of this activity at all?
Once in a while I journaled on it. Once in a while I journaled on it. There might be some in my home, but I don't know.
Where
I
were
think
those?
I threw it out. If it's around, it would be in like a spiral binder in, either my desk, my other desk, or my, whatchamacallit. Come on. We put files, folders in there.
Filing cabinet?
Yes, filing cabinet, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And that's, do you live alone?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes. Did you want someone to come with me and look?
Well, to be honest with you, as part of the investigation, there's already been a search warrant executed at your house.
Oh, so the search there's already been a
I
search
don't know
warrant?
what stage it's at because we've been conversing for quite some time.
Okay.
It's probably close to being completed.
Okay,
But I'm just asking, because you've been so cooperative,
yeah,
and again, I do appreciate that.
yeah.
I really do. It just makes things a lot easier, right?
Just what I had done, how bad I felt when it happened, just trying to figure out what was going on in my head.
Searching for answers.
Yeah.
But you're not sure if you have rid of those or not yet?
I thought I got rid of them all, but I don't know if I did for sure.
There is no conventional confrontation in this interview. There is no moment where the detective catches Elizabeth in a lie and watches her realize she's been caught. That gap simply does not exist here. What Detective Hergott does instead is the closest thing possible in these circumstances. He asks her directly to account for herself.
What can you say to them that would matter? I'm sorry isn't enough. I should have gotten help sooner. I took something from you that was precious and it was taken too soon. I honestly believed at the time that God wanted me to do it, but I know now that's not true. And if I could take it back, if I could get help sooner, I would have. And I'm sorry. I never made it work there. I never made an error when I was using it at work. Never.
Just had you focused.
Yeah.
Did you ever commit any of these deaths when you were using?
No. None of them.
So no med errors, no deaths.
When I was using.
Breathing, it was all the feeling in your chest and your stomach and
Yeah.
your
The
sore.
searching and yeah. And then the laughter afterwards, which was really, it was like a cackling from the pit of hell, if that makes sense.
She says this to explain herself. The cackling from the pit of hell. She is trying to communicate that this was not her, that there was something inside her she could not control, some intrusion on her normal self. And then in the next breath she says that whenever she was under the influence of the drugs she stole from her patients, none of this happened. The feeling didn't come. She made no medication errors. She killed no one. The detective does not press her on the contradiction. He doesn't need to. She has just placed the laughter in her own chest.
Mental health. You know, I think it was, I was in my right mind. Or I would have been able to tell. I mean, I was raised to believe in God. I was raised from a baby to go to Sunday school. So how could I get such a strong feeling that this is what God wanted, unless it was something wrong with my head? But somehow, some way I can help somebody. There's got to be somebody wherever I go, jail, penitentiary, there's got to be somebody I can help. Maybe somebody who can't read. Maybe somebody who can't write. Maybe somebody who's done worse than me and feels like it'll never be forgiven. Maybe somebody who's done less than me and feels like it'll never be forgiven. There's got to be something that can come from this. Maybe somebody can study me and come up with answers and new medications so this doesn't happen again. That's my hopes and dreams now.
This is what stopped her. Not guilt, not being caught, not prayer, or a lawyer's warning, or a pastor's blessing. Children. The moment her employer told her she would be working with children with diabetes, children who had insulin pumps, she quit, drove toward Quebec, turned around, got on a train. 8 adults were dead by then. 6 had survived. And the thing that made her stop was the thought of a child.
I was afraid that I might get that feeling of wanting to give them insulin overdoses, especially since they were diabetic. And I panicked. And there was no way. I was absolutely not open to that.
Dynamic sorry. She is reaching for something that doesn't exist in the language, something larger than sorry, and she can't find it, so she uses that phrase, and then she asks to go to the bathroom.
I was afraid that I might get that feeling of wanting to give them insulin or doses, especially since they were diabetic, and I panicked. And there was no way. I was absolutely not open to that. Done this, and I'm ready to face it, but I would love to go home for a night.
I think that's gonna happen.
Bless you.
Okay, I think that's gonna happen. As I said at the very, very beginning of this, whatever time we started, it'll happen.
Okay.
Okay? And part of this is gonna be up to you. What are your plans going forward from here?
Going forward from here, I want to go home.
Okay,
I want to have a good night's sleep.
okay,
I want to spend Thanksgiving weekend with my family,
okay.
and I want to be available to the police that intend to need me.
Okay.
And if I have to come back for trial, I have to come back for trial.
Convicted of certain offenses,
Right?
that's part of their punishment sometimes.
Okay.
Would you be willing to enter into an 810 peace bond prior to being criminally charged?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you understand what I mean by the 810 peace bond?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It means I have to do it, or I come back and I'm in jail until everything else happens.
I don't know what would happen if you were to breach it as far as jail and the consequences.
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to make sure that it's clear to you and that make sure that I'm getting my point across is that it's basically a document that you're going to swear, sign, and agree not to do
Yeah.
certain things, not to have certain things in your possession. And
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen right now
Okay.
because it has to go in front of a judge.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's just an option that we're looking at because, as I said, we have the responsibility to protect the public.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's why I want to know what your plans are.
Yes.
I want to know that you're going to go home and be supported by your family.
Yes.
I want to know that you're
Cell
going to
phone will
have...
be charged at all times, always on my body if you need me. I will be here, and if you need me to come here, I'll be here. If you need me to wait for you to come and get me, I'll do it. I'm totally committed.
The interview ends at approximately 8:02 p.m. on October 5, 2016. It has run for nearly 3 hours. Elizabeth Wettlaufer did not go home for Thanksgiving. She was placed under an 810 peace bond, a court-ordered set of conditions prohibiting her from nursing homes, contact with vulnerable adults, and possession of firearms or medications. The investigation moved quickly. Exhumations were ordered. Toxicology was conducted. The handwritten document was corroborated against employment records, shift schedules, and nursing home logs. On June 1, 2017, Elizabeth Wettlaufer pleaded guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of attempted murder, and 2 counts of aggravated assault. On June 26, 2017, she was sentenced to 8 concurrent life terms in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. The families of James Silcox, Maurice Grenon, Helen Matheson, Mary Zurawinski, Gladys Millard, Helen Young, Arpad Horvath, and Dean Moyer had been told their loved ones died of natural causes. They were told so by the same hospital staff who filed the paperwork. They were told so, in some cases, by Elizabeth Wettlaufer herself, on the night she made the call. James Silcox called out from his room all night, "I love you, and I'm sorry," and his family wanted to know what he had said. Elizabeth told them,